Hello out there to you. We've got a couple of macro fiscal spending type problems. They're worded a little bit differently, so let's go through them. It's just different language to describe pretty standard operating Keynesian modeling. Okay, so in if the aggregate demand shortfall is 600 billion, so that basically means that we're lower than 600 billion in aggregate demand, or I want aggregate demand to increase by 600 billion. The MPC, which is the marginal propensity to consume, is 0.08. How large is the desired fiscal stimulus? Okay, so in order to do this, what I need to do is just set up a formula here. So it's change in aggregate demand equals the spending multiplier, I'm going to call that SM, times the amount of fiscal stimulus, okay? But the fiscal stimulus could just be like an amount of like government spending, okay? So let's make that a little bit bigger there. Okay, so we actually do know the multiplier, spending multiplier. So spending multiplier is going to be 1 over 1 minus MPC, or marginal propensity to consume. But since the MPC is the inverse of the MPS, the same way to think about this, and think about it on your test, MPS is the same as 1 minus the MPC. So this is a lot faster. So spending multiplier 1 over the MPS, much easier to remember. So this right here in this first problem is 1 over 0.2, which is 5. Okay, so our spending multiplier is 5. We don't know what FS is, the fiscal stimulus, and we want to increase by 600 billion. Okay, so 600 billion is our target, so we're just going to solve for FS, so we just divide both sides by 5. And 600 over 5 is $120 billion. So the first answer for A, fiscal stimulus equals $120 billion. That's how much we need to inject into the economy to get that. Okay. All right. Now, how large of an income tax is needed? So we have the same setup, except instead of the spending multiplier, we're going to use the tax multiplier. So the tax multiplier, I'm going to call that tax M. Tax multiplier is negative MPC over MPS. So here, this is negative 0.8 over 0.2, right? And so that's negative 4. Now, if you look at the two multipliers, if this fiscal spending multiplier is 5, then the simple tax multiplier is negative 4. The tax multiplier is always 1 minus whatever the spending multiplier is, and it's negative. So for example, if the MPC is 0.9, then the MPS is 0.1. This means our spending multiplier is 1 over 0.1, which is 10, and then negative 0.9 over negative or over 0.1. So then the tax multiplier would be negative 9. See, it worked out. You can try it out in various contexts. But anyway, so we do the same thing. So we want to get 600 billion in increased aggregate demand. Negative 4 is the tax multiplier. So T, I'm going to call T the tax cut. Okay. So it's just 600 divided by 4. And that's 150. So I need to cut taxes by $150 billion. So you could write it that way, or you could also say this is a tax cut of $150 billion. So the tax cut's always going to be higher. In case you need to think about why that is, it's because part of the tax cut can be saved. It doesn't all have to be spent, whereas that fiscal injection is all going to be spent. Okay? All right, second problem. If aggregate demand excess is 300 billion. So this means it might be called an inflationary gap, or it might mean runaway economy. Basically, we need some contractionary fiscal policy to reduce the size of our economy because our economy has overheated. So we'll come on down here, and how much fiscal restraint is desired. Basically, we're just saying how much do we need to decrease um, government spending or transfer payments by to decrease our economy by $300 billion. Okay, so in this case, it's the same setup. Here, the MPC is 0.75, so our spending multiplier is 1 over 0.25. So this is 1 over 1/4. Pretty easy. You can do it without a calculator. Rearrange. And you get 4. Using our tax multiplier trick, we know the tax multiplier is -3. And so now I just need to plug in what I know. I know that 4 is the spending multiplier. How much of a change in government spending will I need to get to decrease that? So it's just divide both sides by 4. And it's just 300 divided by 4, which is 75. So I need to cut the budget by $75 billion somehow. Good luck. But I need to do that. That would be the appropriate thing to do. Okay, and then how much would income taxes have to be increased to do the same thing? So we're going to go so negative 300 billion times equals -3, and then tax. So this one I can do without a calculator. Tax cut gonna need to be or tax, I'm sorry, not tax cut, tax increase, $100 billion. Okay, so we need more of a tax increase than less of a government spending decrease. And that's how to answer those questions. They're pretty standard, they're just using slightly different language.